College baseball just around the corner. We've got one of the biggest SoCal schools head coaches coming on the show. Who is it? Find out in the next edition of Sideline Sports Podcast. Welcome to Sideline Sports Podcast. If you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast. We welcome you all back to another installment of Sideline Sports Podcast. Once again, I am the host, Alex Naveja, where if you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast, the source of your SoCal sports news. Very quickly, before I introduce you guys, the guests for today, just while you guys are down there, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. We're on our way to subscriber number 400. And follow us on all of our social media platforms, folks. It's 2022. We've got some big goals coming up. So let's get the ball rolling. We've got some big goals, got some big guests. But without further ado, how about the guest right here on my left-hand side? If you recognize him, he is the Long Beach State DIRTBAGS head coach, goes by the name of Eric Valenzuela. Coach, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. And you know what? Always a pleasure to have you on.
Alex, thank you, man. I'm pumped to be here and talking dirtbag baseball with you as always. And I really appreciate your time. And you were one of the first guys I met when I got the job, and one of the first interviews. So I'm pumped to see you continuing to grow. And congratulations to you and all your success. And thank you for having me back on.
Thank you so much for the words, Coach. Always a pleasure. And you know what? Having 2 seasons under your belt. But before we even talk about those 2 seasons, how about these new lights coming up on BLAIR? They look nice.
They're unbelievable, man. And I mean, if you're an outsider and don't know much about the program or just a baseball fan in general or whatever, you hear about new lights or just a replacement of lights, and it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal. But for us, it really is. You know, I know back before I got here in 2017 when they hosted a super regional, the light, they weren't up to NCAA standards. So they had to pay a lot of money to get in these extra, portable lighting to be able to even play games here. And so, also it was like a home field advantage. When teams came in, we were able to practice under these lights, and then a team would come in and so that'll be a different. I think everybody will be on the same level here. But the lights are absolutely beautiful. New LED lights. Just super thankful for Marilyn BOHL to the program, as well as President Connolly. Our president of Long Beach State, and her commitment to our program. And it's a dream. Not only the lighting just on the field, but if you're a fan, if you've been to games, dirtbag games before, when you sit in the stands, it's really dark underneath the overhang. There's new lighting in there. There's new emergency lighting and exit lighting up the stairwells. There's new lighting all around the stadium that just makes it brighter. There's new lighting in the dugouts, which we never had. So it's a total overhaul of the lighting system all the way around. And there's just so much good things, so many good things going on. Not only that, we have a new, over $50,000 speaker system going in at the same time as well. Just a lot of good things going on to start this 2022 season.
You know what? That was a project that was started years ago. I remember barely covering when this was barely just a little sapling, and I was talking to the athletics department on how they were talking about, yes, we need to update the lighting for the NCAA standards, and if we want to host another regional, that's going to be something that you guys really needed to upgrade, and now you guys have. So you know what? That's definitely got to be in the books now to be in the regionals this coming season, and maybe even host it this season. But how are the guys liking it? What are the teams? What's the team saying right now in the locker room?
Well, we're really excited. Obviously, the boys are excited. We have not yet to get on there and And I've seen the lights on one time, which was pretty spectacular. But the players haven't yet. We haven't been able to be on the field just yet because it's almost like a construction zone, which is okay with us. As long as they're getting things done, we're okay. We have the luxury of having the campus field, which is another beautiful facility. There's not many, college baseball programs that have what we have as far as two facilities that we're able to utilize. And so, we've been working out and practicing and getting everything done at the campus field, which is totally fine. And we should be back on Bull Diamond at BLAIR Field on February 1st. So it's right around the corner. And I know they're excited to get under those lights and kind of get used to it. And it looks like daytime. When the one time that I saw them turned on, they just have so many cool things you can do with these LED lights now. I mean, they have like different shows that they put on with the lighting that do different flashes, and they have different names for about 6 or 7 different lighting dances or whatever you want to call them after a home run or whatever. So it's actually for the fan experience as well, it's a big deal. And so we're just super blessed for sure.
How would you describe the lighting? I know you guys put it up all over social media. It looks really good on social media, but how would you guys describe it? Would you guys describe it as like major league type of lighting, or how would you say it?
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's the same company that does major league stadiums. It's just, I'm learning the process as we go too. I mean, it's weird because it's like these LED lights. They're like pointed down with covers. You really can't see the lights. They just shine right on the field. So it's like when you're like one step outside the stadium, you can't even see, you're in the dark, because it's just everything is lit on the field. And then it's weird. There's these lights that are like halfway in the poles that actually shine up. So it actually like lights the bottom of the ball up if it's in the air. And so it's just weird. I'm learning as we go with all these, the LED lighting and it's pretty crazy. And again, we're so pumped and it looks amazing.
Mm-hmm. So what's next on the list, Coach? I mean, it just seems like Bull Diamond at BLAIR Field improves one way or another every year. It's always a big project, but I mean, is there anything else that you guys are in the works with?
Well, I mean, I think nowadays it's I'm not going to say it's a facilities war, but it really is. I mean, you look at schools in the SEC who are putting in $40-50 million into their facilities, which is absolutely crazy. But then you look out west, Fullerton's putting in a new, cages and new development center. Cal Poly just did a nice, beautiful one as well. On and on and on. Irvine has a beautiful facility. Santa Barbara just got new lights as well. And so again, the Big West is, they're making a huge commitment. These schools are making a huge commitment into college baseball, which is awesome. And, our commitment from the top with President Connolly down to our athletic director, Andy Fee, they've just been amazing and giving us as much as they could to be successful, and that's what's exciting for, us, the players, the program, the alumni, the fan base, everything. So you're talking new lighting. I mean, when I got the job here, they put in the new netting that's in front, which is beautiful and it's safe, and that needed to happen. Steve Traxel, our awesome alum who pitched in the big leagues for many years, helped us with our new home bullpen down the left field line, which was something we got done as well. We got the lighting project from Maryland Bowl and President Connolly helping out, and then we have a brand new speaker system that's going up. That's going to make, again, a huge fan. It's going to be awesome for the fans to come out and hear that. And then projects down the line. I mean, we're going to have a new huge video board that's going to be about double the size of it now that it's there, and that's huge. Hopefully, that's going to start break ground in the summer. And then the development center down the left field line. We have big plans to start that and break ground this summer on redoing the building that's down the left field line and making that into a development center for our team, classroom, offices, game room, and hoping the Hall of Fame as well.
Well, it definitely seems like a lot is in the works. And I mean, everything that you guys do there at Bull Diamond at BLAIR Field, it's always something big. It's never a small project. You guys are always making it impressive, always making it big, and always making a facility for the players worth mentioning and really making it worthwhile for them. And I really applaud you guys for the continued work that you guys continue to do ever since I was a student, the improvements you guys made every year. But one confession I do have with how historic Bull Diamond at BLAIR Field is, I never realized that it comes out on Moneyball. I never realized it until I watched the movie.
Yeah, I think a lot of movies are filmed there. I know Moneyball was. I know Space Jam was as well.
Yeah.
I know there's a ton of commercials. I mean, I think back in the day when I was like maybe even in high school, they used to do the Rock and Jock softball game as well. That was on national TV as well, I think on MTV.
Yeah.
Yeah, very historic facility, stadium, goes back a lot of, you talk to people that are even older now, and they remember when they were kids coming to games and watching not only the DIRTBAGS, but, there was professional teams, and there was, it was a lot of, or people coming up and saying when they were in, high school, they played here, and that was years ago. And so people have so many great memories of this place. And when this place looks like it does in this picture behind me, and it's rocking, and we're playing good baseball, and I mean, the community, they are behind us 100%. And there is no fan base, in my opinion, as good as DIRTBAGS, and the DIRTBAG fan base for sure. And so again, we're just blessed, to get this thing going, this 2022 season. I think we're going to make our fan base and our administration and our alums proud, for sure. And again, we want the facility, we want them to feel at home. We want them to be part of the journey and be part of what we're doing, and all of these, upgrades to the facility, because, a lot of these, these alums, and they started this, and now, that's what you do. You continue, and it gets better, and it gets better, and it gets better, but we never forget where it started from, and we don't, for sure.
I think that's a great way to put it, Coach. Never forget your roots, and never forget the history that the DIRTBAGS have. I mean, there's a lot of big major leaguers that have come from Long Beach State, and it continues to grow every year. But let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about Coach's previous years, his first year as a coach, the short season, and the season that just passed. And now we'll also talk about that 2022 season that's coming up and what Coach has in store for that year. But if you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast, a source of your SoCal sports news. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name's Stephen Leonardi. I'm the commissioner of the Major League Baseball Fan Association, and you are watching the Sideline Sports Podcast.
And welcome back to Sideline Sports Podcast. Once again, I am the host, Alex Naveja, here on Sideline Sports Podcast via Sideline Sports Media, where if you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast, a source of your SoCal sports news. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media platforms down below. Give this episode a thumbs up, and also subscribe to the channel. We're trying to make it to 400 subscribers, folks. We're trying to make it to that goal. It's 2022, and we're going to do everything we can to bring you guys some great content. And of course, on my left-hand side, that is the Long Beach State head coach, Eric Valenzuela himself. And the first half, we were talking about those brand new lights that they have there at Bull Diamond at BLAIR Field. And boy, are they nice. You guys can find those lights on social media, LB DIRTBAGS, and all of their social media platforms. And you guys just have to go in person. You guys have to go in person and go check it out and go see the DIRTBAGS. And of course, Coach, last night you had dinner with a big Long Beach State legend in Don Barbara. How was that? What was that like? I forgot to ask you about that in the first half.
Yeah, that was great. We have a great relationship with Legends and their owners Eric and Matt Peterson, Eric Johnson. We have such a great relationship with them. So they were generous enough to have us up, for dinner and having a team dinner upstairs in their balcony area. But we had Don Barbara. Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. I've known him for over 20 years. But he's a dirtbag legend, and some would say the original dirtbag, from the very beginning. And so it was great. I've known him for so long, and we've talked about, the history of the program, the tradition of the program, and obviously the expectations. I think part of being a new coach and part of what you kind of explain to your players, and you talk about the rich tradition that we have here and the expectations and all of those things. They have to know that, and I believe that, and when you have a legend like Don Barbara here who has so many records, within our program, and he's around, he sees what's going on, and then he's able to talk to the team last night, and it was great, man. It was awesome. It was good for our guys to hear, because again, look at what our guys have, right? I mean, look at the things that we have, and we want them to understand that they're lucky, that they really are lucky, and that they're never going to take this opportunity for granted, and so it's just nice to hear, Donnie talk to them about how it was back in the day, and it wasn't like this. It wasn't, it was tough. It was hard nosed. It was grindy, and that's the type of baseball players that is expected here, and so. And that's, as coaches, that's what we're trying to instill in these guys. Yes, we have a beautiful facility. Yes, we have things, but when you have you have a program that has so much tradition, it's got to start from somewhere, and it started way back, here at Long Beach State, and it has continued to grow and continue to improve in every aspect of things, and the facility is a big part of that. So I know these guys are proud, of what we have and how we go about our business. And I think that's a big deal is how we go about our business, how we work every day, how we get after it, not only on the baseball field, but in the classroom and in the community. And I think that's a big deal. So it was a big night for us. It was awesome. And so, I can't thank him enough.
You love to hear it, Coach. Players getting it done on and off the field, and having a legend like Don Barbara come and speak to the players and the future of the Long Beach State Dirtbags, and they could be like Don Barbara and come and visit future Dirtbags to be able to let them know their stories and what it was like to be under head coach Eric Valenzuela and have their stories to share for you. But you know what, going back down memory lane, how about your first season with Long Beach State? Just unfortunately it being cut because of the COVID-19 pandemic, but to finish up 10-5, and you defeated teams that are not easy to beat. You beat Xavier, Wake Forest, Mississippi State, who are now the national champions, but that's not easy to do, Coach. And for you to be 10-5 during that time period, wow, like right out the gate, what was it that worked so well with that team?
There was the players, I think, they were good players, and they were itching to win, they were itching to be good. And that's where it starts. And what we did was, we just brought them confidence. We brought a blueprint, that we've always done. And we put together a plan for these guys to be successful. But they are the ones that did it. They're the ones that have to. They're the ones that put in the hard work. I mean, there's a lot of great coaches in this country, and it takes guys to do that extra work. It takes guys to come together. They were coming off a really tough year and a really tough couple years. And so again, that was the challenge for them and for us. And then you have a new coaching staff, and you want buy-in, but you have to earn their trust. I mean, they're 18 to 22-year-olds. They just go through a coaching change, which is never easy. And so it takes time. Fortunate for us, I mean, these guys kind of jumped on it right away, and we had one of the toughest schedules in the country. And we started off with Cal, and we beat them 2 out of 3, which Cal was coming off a regional appearance, and they're always, they're a Pac-12 power. You know, and then we played Mississippi State, who was ranked 4th in the country, and beat them 2 out of 3, which was awesome. And we did it at home in front of our crowd. And then we played Wake Forest, who was ranked 14th in the country, and we swept them at home, which was huge as well. You know, an ACC team. And then Xavier, who traditionally has a really good baseball program in their conference, and you know, they played us really tough, and we were able to win, you know, the series for them 2 out of 3 as well. And then we jump on a plane, right? And you know, we're ranked, I think, as high as 11th in the country, and you know, things are awesome, and we're fired up, and you know, Dirtbag Nation is going crazy, and we're getting a ton of butts in the seats and everything. And we're on a plane to you know, to Tulane and in New Orleans, and then obviously the season ends, you know, with COVID shut down. The NCAA shut everything down, and so we finished the season 10-5. I think we finished 11th in the country. You know, we had a lot of work to do still, and again, you know, that was our first year, and we had a lot to put in, and we had a lot of growing to do. And it wasn't always, you know, I don't believe that season was always going to be, you know, full of just a ton of wins and a ton of success. You know, we were going to probably take some in the chin, and it was going to be part of our growing as a program. And so I think what hurt the most was that, yes, we were on a roll. Yes, it was going good. But, you know, for me, you know, moving the program forward and getting going, to stop and to not finish that season and not get those games under our belt and not get these players that experience, that hurt us a little bit. And so, you know, then but it is what it is, and we're not going to make excuses, and we never have. And you know, we move forward.
It was just really unfortunate to see everything just come to an end because of the pandemic. But with that short of a year, 15 games under your belt, was that enough for you as the head coach to know, okay, this is what we've got, this is what's going to work, this is what's not going to work? Was that enough for you, or did you need more of a season?
No, I don't think it's ever enough. You know, it's never enough unless you win the College World Series and you play in that last game, you know. But it kind of gave us a snapshot of what, you know, you know, what we were working with, and what, you know, as far as a recruiting standpoint moving forward, what are some things and some areas that we need to improve on and get better. But, you know, I think from a culture standpoint, from a, you know, a standpoint of, you know, we didn't have too many, you know, I would say tough. We didn't lose the series. You know, we didn't go through too many hiccups then. And you know, when you're building a program, you need some of that, right? You need to build some character. You know, you're going to have some tough losses, and you're going to have some tough outings, and you're going to have some tough ABs. And, you know, coaches are going to make some mistakes, and players are going to make some mistakes. And that's just all part of growing. And so those are some things that we missed. But again, you know, we have such a strong core of older guys that wanted, and they were just foaming at the mouth to get better and to develop and to win, that it just made our transition a lot easier for sure.
Now let's talk a little bit about that 2020 season. Now, you definitely get a lot more than 15 games, but unfortunately you don't get the pre-conference matchups. And the thing that Long Beach State does so well is scheduling those big opponents like the SEC, ACC schools, and not being afraid to face anybody really in the nation. But you play against a full conference slate. I got to ask first, what was it like to play 2 additional series? Meaning, what did it mean, or how did it feel to play against first time UC San Diego and play against Cal State Bakersfield?
Yeah, so that was last season. So that was the 21 season. First season was 20, 21 was last season. You know, UC San Diego and Bakersfield are great additions to the conference. You know, they have you know, 2 great coaches, Jeremy Beard and Eric Newman, who do an unbelievable job. They're very, very tough, you know, very well schooled programs for sure. So that's exciting. I mean, when you get to go down and play in San Diego, that's never bad. You know, it's not a bad thing. And so, yeah, I mean, they're just 2 additions. And again, it just goes to show you on the West. I mean, there's just no, every game is a battle. Every game is a war. You know, it doesn't matter who you play out here. There's just nobody easy, nobody that you can just walk over. That just doesn't happen out here. You have to be prepared 100% for anybody that you play, and that's top to bottom in our conference in the Big West, which is a Power 5 conference baseball for sure. But again, going back to the 2021 season, I mean, we were I believe us and maybe Northridge were the last two teams to begin practice of anybody in the country. And that was in February. I think our first practice was game week for everybody else in the country. And so, again, I'm proud of our guys for never using that as an excuse. We talk about that now after the fact, but, when we were, right then and there and we were going through it and we were doing Zoom meetings, every day and having to figure out how we're going to make this thing happen and work. Our guys never made excuses. And I think that they played with the chip on their shoulder, knowing that, we were playing teams that had a lot more experience just with the season and practice and all of that. And that's what I was proud of our guys is that, they played really hard and they got better. And that's what you want, when you're put in that tough situation, you just want to see improvement, and that's for us, that's what we want to see, no matter what the season is, but especially last year, we just want to see improvement on a week-to-week basis. And we definitely saw that. We played better every single week. I think we finished down the stretch 15-2. We were one of the best teams in the country at the end of the season. And unfortunately, we just didn't have enough games. We missed 4 weekends. We missed the first 4 weekends of the season. We didn't have any midweek games. And so again, that hurt us from an RPI standpoint, hurt us from getting into the NCAA tournament. But again, we just use that as fuel moving into the 2022 season.
It's really a great way to put it, Coach, when you put it that way, just not having enough games under your belts. And have to say, finishing up the season as strong as you guys did, that is very impressive. I know there was a lot of Twitter buzz saying, hey, I think Long Beach State could have made a case to make it into the regionals and make a nice little run in the NCAA regionals and doing that. But you know what?
Mm-hmm.
That's just going to give you guys the fuel, as you mentioned, going into 2022 now. Now things are looking a lot more normal. The season you guys are used to playing against non-conference teams and the powerhouses. You get to play the UCLAs again. You get to play Mississippi State again, national championship, and you're playing over at Mississippi. And you get to play some new opponents like Sac State. You play against a UConn. You're playing some new opponents that you don't get to play against every year. But gotta mention, how about that road trip to Mississippi State? That's got to be a fun one for you guys.
Yeah, it's hard to look at our schedule and not see that right off the bat. I mean, I think I think there's two top 25 matchups. We're one of them that on opening weekend that are going to have 2 teams in the top 25. And going to Starkville, after they just won a national championship is it's going to be a lot of fun. We played them 2 years ago. There's probably going to be some players that we played 2 years ago. Obviously the coaches are still there. But that's, again, you said it at the beginning, we're Long Beach State. I mean, that's traditionally, that's what this place is. You play the best and you get on the road and that's just part of this journey. It's part of the experience. I want to get on the plane and get to Starkville and play in front of, 18, 20,000 people that are screaming and everybody's against us. And it's in a great atmosphere. And it's really going to test our boys. I'll tell you one thing, we're not going to be scared. That's for sure. These guys have been through a lot. We put them through a lot. We have such high demands for them. And we put them through the grinder, all fall and spring that when we get to, play in these settings and these opportunities, that's what we're built for. And so again, they won a national championship, but that was last year. And this is a new year and it's a new dirtbag team as well. And we'll be prepared to go out there and they're going to have to play good baseball to beat us. That's for sure.
You guys certainly have gone through a lot of grinding, a lot of hustle, a lot of adversary, but going into this season, you guys are going in ranked number 24th. That's something huge that you could definitely celebrate about. How does that make you feel going in there ranked number 24th and your season hasn't even started yet?
Well, again, it's the players, I think a preseason ranking, that's an expectation, to this place, right? That's what, the history and tradition of this place when it's rolling and it's going good. It's every year you're ranked in the top 25, if not higher, and so, I know their preseason rankings, and for some it means nothing. But I enjoy it. I think our guys, I think they belong. I mean, obviously we know we have to play good baseball to stay there and to continue to climb those rankings and do that. But, again, it's about us, like I said before, it's about us getting better each week, and that's what it is. And we're going to go out and we're going to play in Starkville, and then we're going to play, a very, very good and talented Sac State team at home, who they win over 35 games every single year and get to regionals all the time, and then the following weekend we play North Dakota State, which, if you don't know college baseball, North Dakota State is they've been to the regionals, I think 3 of the last 5 years. They average over 35 wins a season. They beat big teams all the time. And so, that's a good program. And then, weekend 4, we go to Lincoln, Nebraska, and play the University of Nebraska, and they won the Big Ten last year. And so, that's another hostile environment that we're going to put our players in. And that's all just to get prepared for the Big West Conference, which is never easy as well. And so, I mean, we're excited with what the schedule we put together. It's very challenging, but again, that's this is big boy baseball. When you're here at Long Beach State, that's the expectation. When you're a dirtbag, that's, you're going to play these giants, and to us, we're a giant, as well. And so, I can't wait to play all of those teams.
For the people at home that don't really understand it, why do you guys play against these big teams? For the people that don't understand why you would want to play such a big powerhouse, if you'd be able to tell the fans.
Well, I think it's part of it. I think it's again, scheduling is there's a science to the scheduling, right? I mean, when you get to a place, like the Long Beach State, it's you're scheduling the best that you can. I mean, you really are. I mean, every year, you're hoping to get to Omaha. You're hoping to build your RPI by playing and getting on the road and playing SEC, ACC program, then getting into conference and winning the conference, and getting into regional, hosting a regional, super regional, and then getting to Omaha. To me, the only way that you could, get that experience and be prepared, for a conference championship, for a regional appearance, for a super regional, and for Omaha, is to be challenged. It really is. And so, again, going to Mississippi State, who just coming off a national championship, is huge. And we're always going to schedule. And not only that, I mean, even our midweek games during the week are just, we're playing UCLA twice. We're playing San Diego State twice. We're playing USC. We're playing UConn. UConn's in town playing. A couple. They're on their spring break down here, playing a couple weekends, and we're going to play them during the week. And that's again another power as well. We're playing Fresno State. And so again, it's just on and on and on. And what it does is it just prepares your guys every single game. I mean, it really does. You can't take a practice lightly because you have Fresno State on a Tuesday. You can't have a down workout on Thursday because, you are playing UC Santa Barbara, Friday. I mean, it's on and on and on. And again, that's what we prepare for, battles every single time, 56 battles, and then hopefully more with postseason.
The right mentality. I mean, you really do have to make a case to winning the Big West, and you got some big monsters in the Big West as well, like UC Irvine, UC Santa Barbara. And as you mentioned early on in the podcast, there's a lot of great programs now that can really be a threat. I mean, Cal State Fullerton, I know they're a developing team. You have Cal Poly, who's always a sneaky team playing in the Big West. And there's a lot of teams you can't discount.
Hawaii, and Hawaii just actually hired my mentor, Rich Hill, and I worked for him for 6 years at the University of San Diego, and they're going to be, way more improved, and he's going to get those guys rolling as well. So a lot of scary teams in this conference for sure.
Hey, and the good thing is this year you guys get to play Hawaii there at Bull Diamond at BLAIR Field. I know last year you guys had to make that trip over to Honolulu. I mean, that's a good trip to go to Honolulu, but the Rainbow Warriors, they're not easy to play there at home.
No, they're not, and it rained every second that we were there. And again, that was a tough weekend. That was our first weekend. And we got better from that, and going through that experience of the rain and the wind, and being in a different environment, and the plane flight and hotel, all of that stuff, that just prepares you for the rest of the season. And so we're lucky to have done that, and that made us better as a team for sure.
Coach, I have to ask this question. I've been seeing on Twitter as well that your guys are just swinging a powerful bat. It's not just singles or periodic double. I'm talking about warning track power, maybe even over the wall. Like, what are the guys doing? Is it the conditioning work? Is it the boxing? Is it the weight room? What's going on? I haven't seen Dirtbags have so much pop in quite some time.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and very thankful, for you to say that. I know our hitters will be proud of that. Well, and it's not big, crazy, over swings and swing and misses. I mean, we're trying to be, a really balanced offense. It's not, we're not going to be just one dimensional, whether it's a small ball or whether it's the long ball. Coach Brian Peters, who's our hitting guy, him and Danny Costanza, they do such a great job with our offense, and getting these guys to prepare for whatever situation's possible. If we have to bang and we have to score multiple runs and we have to get in the 10s and 12s and 13 runs, I mean, we're going to have the firepower to do that, we hope. If it's a pitching duel and we're going to have to, bunt late in the game and get a guy in scoring position, move him over and hit a sac fly to score them, I mean, we want to have the ability to do that as well. So it's kind of a mixed bag of tricks, but when you're talking about the physicality, baseball is just kind of, I'm not going to say going in that direction, but, we want a strong physical, type of hitter, and not that we're looking totally for the big slugger, who's slow and who's just going to be, hit a home run or bust, that's not it at all, but we want to be able to have some thunder. We want to be able to hit some balls in the gaps and over the fence. I mean, and so we let our guys swing. We let our guys take rips. I'm a pitching guy, I'm the head coach, but I'm a pitching guy. And I know, when you got guys that are physical and they're taking rips and hacks up there, and it's not sloppy, it's good physical swings, and they're strong and they're tough looking, I mean, they're tough to pitch to. And that's what we want to get with our program, is that, we're going to have all different types of hitters. We're going to have guys that can slam balls in the gap over the fence, strong, physical. We have guys that can move guys and bunt and drag and push, and, that are going to sacrifice, that are going to do their job, and that are going to execute. And so, again, we want, I like having guys that, you're right, I like having guys that could take rips, and drive balls, and because I'll tell you, when you can put up a 4-spot or 5-spot, for me as a pitching guy, that makes our lives a lot easier. You always feel like you're in the game, even when you're down. If you're down by 1 or 2, if you have an offense that can create some runs and create some havoc, you're not pressing as much. You really aren't. It's just, hey, let's just keep on doing our job and limiting runs that they're scoring, throw up some zeros, and our offense is going to come at some point. They're going to score some runs for us.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I mean, the good thing about Long Beach State baseball as well is that not only, like you mentioned before, you guys don't just look for the typical big, strong hitter that's going to go swinging over the fences and he's a slow runner. What you guys always do is you guys produce the power hitter who can also steal a bag or two, run on a ball in the dirt, and is a good base stealer as well, a guy that's got multiple tools. And that's always something that Long Beach State baseball has always been known for as well. And as far as talking about players as well, I know you and I were talking briefly about a young freshman who is ranked pretty high and one of the freshman prospects in the nation. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe he's maybe 180th ranked prospect in Eddie Saldivar. But tell me about him, man. Is this as far as what have you seen from his workload?
Yeah, no, he is. He's. I think he was ranked, and not, again, these rankings are rankings, whatever. But I think he was ranked the 30th best freshman in the country. And I know there's some pretty good freshmen out there. And he's every bit of that, if not more. I believe. We knew during the recruiting process that he was a special baseball player. We knew he was a special kid. He comes from a great family. a hardworking family, you know, and he just loves the game. He's just a gamer. You know, he's that dirtbag that you know, when you say dirtbag, I mean, he is the meaning of it. I mean, he plays with a chip on his shoulder. He plays hard. He plays like a football player. He could really hit, and he hits the ball to all fields. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he plays big. He's really good defensively. He's one of the 2 fastest players on our team. You know, and again, he's a freshman though, right? And so he's going to have some ups and downs. I mean, it's not going to be all. I mean, I hope he has you know, he's the best player in the country, and he's an All-American, and he never has any hiccups down the road. But you know, we all know that that's not the case. And so again, you know, we're not trying to put so much pressure on him. We have a ton of good players on our team, a ton of good infielders that, you know, a guy like him, we don't have to just throw in the fire and, you know, we can ease him into it, let him see some games, let him get his feet wet, and then, you know, kind of go from there. But I'll tell you what, he is the type of player that if we are going to throw somebody in the fire and just say, here you go, he is the type of guy. So again, we have a few weeks to figure out, you know, how we're going to go, but he's definitely going to play a ton. He's definitely, you know, a guy that I know Dirtbag fans are going to love for the next few years.
The fact that you're giving him the compliment of dirtbag, that's a big compliment for him to be labeled as a dirtbag. That's big if you ask me. Now, I want to finish up the show with this question, Coach. You know, I asked you the questions the last time that you're on the podcast. How about the conditioning work, the boxing? I know you were really implementing on the boxing and that cardio work on the guys. What's that looking like? Are you still doing the boxing work?
Yeah, man, we are. It's you know, Alex, I mean, this goes back a long ways, man. It's, you know, it's hard. I think one of the toughest things for coaches to create, you know, you can have the best drills, you know, for offense, for pitching, you can watch videos, you can do PowerPoint presentations, you can do all of that stuff. But the hardest thing I believe is to get these guys, you know, mentally tough, right? To you know, to kind of get that competitiveness. You have guys with so much talent, and then you put them at the plate, you know, on the mound, and when it goes tough, when times go tough, and I mean, they it's not, I'm not going to say they fold, but you know, it's they're not the same guy, you know, they're not. What we try to do is put these guys through, you know, we challenge them, you know, heavily, especially in the fall when it comes to the conditioning part of things, when it comes to the boxing workouts, when it comes to, you know, the talks that we have just about us being different, you know, and we're not normal. You know, there's a lot of new things and which are great, you know. I mean, there's yoga, and there's, you know, breathing exercises, and there's you know, a lot of mental cues and things which are great, you know, and I don't have anything. I probably need that in my life, you know, but that's just we're just a little different, you know. We're a little different. I think we go to our work ethic, we push these guys to their limit, to their absolute limit, you know. We really do, you know, not in a, you know, in making sure in a safe way. We put them through boxing workouts, you know, and we talk to them about and again, that's my background. You know, my dad's a boxing coach, and for over 40 years, my son's boxed right now competitively. That's in my blood. I boxed when I was young as well, and it's a passion of mine. And there's just a different mentality with boxers, you know, there really is. And it's about the preparation work, right? And I tell my guys all the time, if you're a baseball player and let's just say you're a hitter and you don't give it all you got, or you're not prepared, right? You're not as prepared. What's the worst thing that can happen, right? You strike out, you have a bad game, you go 0 for 3, you know what I mean? If you're a pitcher and you're not prepared, or you didn't work hard or whatever, what's the worst thing that can happen? You know, you have a bad outing, you walk a ton of guys, you go an inning and a third and you get ripped and you get pulled, you know what I mean? There's nothing physical about that. When you're a boxer and you're not prepared, okay, and you don't work your butt off and you're not prepared 100% to go in there and battle, I mean, you can physically get hurt. You know, you can get a brain injury, you can break your nose, you could break your jaw, you can really get banged up pretty well. So there's a different level of preparation when it comes to, a boxer, than there is a baseball player. And so that is what we try to instill in our guys in being different, is that we're going to prepare like that, and we're going to push you to the limits. That way, when you are in those big, tough situations, you feel like you deserve success. You feel like this moment is what you're made for, and this is what you worked so hard for, that you deserve to get out of this jam as a pitcher, or you deserve this big hit because you've outworked your opponent. You've been through the trenches more than your opponent has, and just feeling that we're tougher than everybody else. People talk about that, and talk about mental this and mental that, but when we're pushing our players to their limits, and you take them to somewhere they've never been before, when it comes to whether it's their endurance, their stamina, a different type of workout like boxing, we just feel like it just creates a different animal and a different mindset, and when we are in those tough situations or those tough environments, that's when we flourish, and we're not going to be intimidated, and we're actually going to be tougher than our opponent for sure.
It's a good way of putting it. I mean, with boxing, it's a very physical sport, and well said. You make a mistake, you're going to get hit in the face, or you're going to get knocked out, or you're physically going to get hurt. Whereas in baseball, you make a mistake, you shrug off the air, or as for a pitcher, you made one bad pitch, the guy took you deep, or as a hitter, you strike out, you come back, make the adjustments. As far as a boxer is concerned, if you're knocked out, you're knocked out. That's it. Ding, ding. It's done. It's so
a lot more painful. It's a lot more painful.
A lot
so you
of
better be
physical
prepared.
Pain. A lot of physical pain, right?
For sure.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really do appreciate the time. And you know what?
Absolutely.
There's a lot to be excited about. Long Beach State Nation, Dirtbag Nation, there's plenty to be excited about. Coach Eric Valenzuela preparing his troops for battle and starting it off right out the gate against the NCAA national champions in Mississippi State, going to Mississippi, and the schedule is crazy, folks. So if you haven't already, check out the schedule, plan out the games that you can make it out. Why not? Just go to all of them, right, Coach? Just for all fans,
Absolutely.
Go to all the games and go support Long Beach State. But you know what, Coach? As always, it's a pleasure to have you on.
I really appreciate your time. Thank you for having me on the show. I know you and I'm pumped for you, man. Have a great season in Eugene up there. Stay dry, buddy.
There's a lot of rain right now, especially in December. There was a lot of rain. We had some snow during the Christmas time, but it's just
not like you left the paradise. Look in the background, man. You left the paradise. But you know what? That's such a great opportunity, man, and I'm so pumped and can't wait to check you out for sure, man. So thank you for having me on.
Always a pleasure, Coach. And hey, maybe I'll get a chance to see the Dirtbags once you guys come up to Oregon State and Corvallis playing against a ranked opponents. And as always, Long Beach State, not afraid of a challenge at all. So if you guys like this episode, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below your thoughts on Long Beach State, the Big West Conference, and what's to come there. And also hit the subscribe button down below. This is just the beginning as far as big guests that we're bringing onto the podcast. But I'm Alex Naveja from Sideline Sports Podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning into this one. And of course, if you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast, a source of your SoCal sports news. Have a good night, everybody.